It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazawey. Let's talk some sports.
Let's talk some sports. It is Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com, fox2detroit.com, and the Fox 2 News app. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, good afternoon to you, my friend.
What's going on, my friend?
You, baby.
Ryan Ermanni, Tom Mazawey, how you doing over there, buddy?
I'm good, my friends.
Good to see you, good to see you. Can I come in hot for a second?
Please.
I won't even get into the game per se.
Please.
Just an aspect of the game. You and Tom have tried to convince me of the 12-game expansion playoffs.
Yes.
Since we first started. August, I said Tom Mazawey.
You said Tom. I don't want you calling me Tom.
Excuse me. Maz.
Thank you.
There you go. I was being...
I've never heard you say Tom. It just sounded weird.
DJ Tom.
There you go. All right,
no,
DJ Tom.
Maz and Ryan, I've been trying. You guys have been trying to convince me of the 12-game playoffs since we started August 12th, 2021. I've always had pushback because I told you, top 4 teams, it makes no sense to have other teams in it. Last night was prime example, and I understand that TCU was a 4, although you can argue how they got in. That's what my biggest fear is when expanding to 12 teams. Why am I going to have a Georgia or an Alabama or an Ohio State or Michigan or Notre Dame if they happen to be the team at the time? Why do I need to see them play Oregon State because Oregon State somehow is 11-1? Why do I need to see them play UCLA? Why do I need to see them play Boise State? Why do I need to see them play Cincinnati to delay the inevitable? Yesterday, TCU got demolished. But you knew it was going to happen before the game. Just look at recruiting classes. Just look at 5-star. There was no way in hell Cincinnati was going to do anything. There was no way in hell TCU was going to do anything. You're delaying the inevitable by having 12 games. I understand it's a money game. I get it's a money game. I get you guys want to watch more football. Side note, you guys are absolutely right about the length of time in terms of playing games. I will give you're right about that because Ohio State almost beat Georgia. That was a completely different Georgia team we saw last night, and they almost weren't even there because of the long break. So I'll give you that. But the 12-team playoff, I'm telling you, it should be no more than 4.
Well, that's where I'm going with it. And of course, if you're just tuning in, 65-7, that was the final score of the national championship game last night, if you want to call it that. It was just a flat-out practice game against the varsity and the freshmen. It wasn't even the JV team. It was the varsity and the freshmen. But the reason, Braylon, in my opinion, why you expanded 12 teams is a number of reasons. One, because I think this whole thing is about matchups. Football is a game about matchups. Some teams match up better with others. Georgia was a 50-yard field goal away at the stroke of midnight from not even being in that game. That's number one. So,
but you're absolutely right. But that's another one of those teams that they're one of the ones. Ohio State's one of the ones. But you also got to use your same logic of, if you play the games right away, that doesn't happen.
And again, that's another reason why I want it to be expanded to 12, because you're taking a week off and you're playing on.
Right.
That's it. And I think the way college football crowns their national champion is, out of the 6 major sports in this country, and I'm just saying, no disrespect to the, I always get this from the DCFC, what's the soccer team? DCFC. I always get, in the 6 major sports championships, I'm talking NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, college football, and college basketball. I think college football is by far the absolute worst champion ever. You take off a month,
right?
5 weeks from the end of the regular season. 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Ohio State hadn't played a game in 5 weeks when they lined up to play Georgia. That's a long time. Yeah. And then
I agree with you now on that.
And then you play on a Monday night. There is one night a week. There is one night of the 7 where a college football game is never played at any point during the college football season, and that's Monday night. You got MAC games on Tuesday, MAC games on Wednesday.
You lead off the year with them on Mondays.
Labor Day?
Yeah.
Well, okay, there's one game. You just root, but you get what I'm saying.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a Monday night game.
Screw you.
Just
Nobody knew the game was on last night, Maz.
Especially
Because
at
no one
7:30.
cared, bro.
If it was a, I don't know.
Both of you guys are
Whatever.
right in that particular
Screw
sense.
you.
Thank you.
You extend the playoffs like we're starting off hot. I
Well,
love
I'm just saying. I'm trying to make a point. It's dumb when
Yeah.
That's like playing the Super Bowl on a frickin' Tuesday. You don't play any games on a Monday night in college football. One game. You got a season opener on a Monday night on Labor Day.
That nobody watches.
And week 0 that nobody watches.
I
Maybe
watch it.
you watch it, fine. But what I'm saying is it's dumb. Play your college football national championship, and the point is the way they crown the champion is dumb. You wait 4 or 5 weeks to play your playoff, and then you play on a Monday night, some random Monday night. Why couldn't they play on Saturday?
I agree with you there, but to what you say, I absolutely agree with you. But if you move it up and you play it right away, it's still not going to change the outcome. The teams that have the most 5 stars, which is Alabama, which is Georgia, which is Ohio State, they're going to be the teams to win. That never changes. When Oklahoma won, they had the most 5 stars. When USC had a dynasty, they had the most 5 stars. Alabama, the most 5 stars. That's not going to change by adding 12 teams. It's going to prolong the inevitable, or it's going to get one of these guys like Jalen Carter. Can you imagine if they're playing UCLA in the second round and Jalen Carter gets injured or Stetson Benson gets injured for no reason? Why are they playing UCLA anyway?
Well, why not just go back to the AP vote then under your circumstance?
I have no problem with that.
Because, I mean, in that case, Georgia would have just won the national championship without even playing.
I don't mind the playoff because there are – JB and I were talking about this before the show.
Hi, JB.
I don't mind
How you doing, buddy?
extending
How you doing?
the playoffs. What's going on, JB? I don't mind extending the playoffs, not to 12. 12 makes no sense. 12 is a money grab. If you want to extend to 6, because I'll give you that. There are 6 teams that can win the national championship that could fight, I believe, every year, except maybe this year because Georgia was that good. But 6 is fine. You give 2 teams a bye, and then the other 2 have to play. The other 4 have to play each other. That's it. I don't need 12.
Okay, maybe fine. I understand where you're coming from. I'll concede your point on that. But at the same time, it's either 12 or it's 4, and I'm glad it's 12 because college football and the NCAA is so freaking dumb. I mean, right now they're investigating Jim Harbaugh because he bought some recruit a hamburger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a legitimate story. They're investigating Jim Harbaugh because he paid for a hamburger at the Brown Jug. That just goes to show you how stupid the NCAA is. So it's either 12 or 4, and the reason I like 12 is for a number of reasons, because I do believe it's about matchups. But, again, Georgia is a field goal away at the stroke of midnight from not even being in that game, number 1. And number 2, you look at this thing, and you keep playing football throughout this month. Michigan would have had 1 week off under these current rules. If you had the 12-team format, they would have had 1 week off and then you play. It's almost like having a bye in the NFL. And I just think that is a more accurate way to describe who is the best team when you play it on the field. I don't think, and I've said this from day one, it's got nothing to do with Michigan. Michigan blew that football game, and so did the referees. But I just don't think you play your best football 4 or 5 weeks after your last football game. I just don't. If that was the case, the NFL would do it. The NFL would do it if you were playing your best football that long into a new playoff.
Once again, I do agree with you there. I think they do need to move that up. I never even thought about that. I keep arguing on that point until last night, watching and then thinking about Ohio State and Ohio State and Georgia. But going back to what I said, you talk about they were a stroke away from midnight from losing. Yes, Ohio State, who's the 3rd team with the most 5-star recruits. So it goes back to what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how many. You can put 36 teams in there. It's not like basketball, which Mazza always likes to throw out there, talking about the tournament and basketball, how it is. You can get the number 1 player in high school on a team in basketball, and they can get to the Sweet 16. You can have a team that plays together for 5 years. What's the team from New Jersey that snuck into the Final Four, the Elite 8?
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's. Those guys have played with each other for 8 years. They all know each other, so they had the chemistry that doesn't work in football. In football, 5 stars rule the world, and that's how it goes. And that's the only reason I keep pushing back on the 12.
Hey, I love the 12.
Yeah.
I'm going to always love it because I love football. And you're going to play all the way through December. And you can name these games, whatever bowl game you want. can name it the Pinstripe Bowl. Syracuse is playing against Connecticut. Whatever. There's your bowl season. They mean something.
Yes.
They will not only get more eyes on them, but they'll actually mean something. Now, what Ryan is saying is Ohio State was the perfect matchup for Georgia.
I agree.
Heather Dinich called it. We don't like her, but she called it from the get-go. She's like, Ohio State should play Georgia. They're the only team that can beat Georgia.
Man, she's
probably right.
Who told you on this show before the game even happened who was going to win? I said Ohio State was going to win. But it goes back to 5-star. Oregon State is 11-2 right now, and they're going to finish in the top 12. Do I need to watch Oregon State play Georgia, or Oregon State play Bama, or Oregon State play Michigan? No. I don't want to see that game, but that's what's going to happen under these new guidelines with the 12-game expansion.
Not really, because Georgia will have the week off, or Oregon State might get knocked off by Oregon.
Or Oregon State might pull a TCU and beat Michigan, only to have to play Alabama next, only to have to maybe play Georgia next. So that makes it cool. It's the inevitable. I'm just saying, like, I go back to it. 5 stars are going to rule the world. The only thing I would say that might help this is the fact that you go to 12. I think right now 5 stars only go to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 schools, because those are the only schools going to the national championship. So if I'm a 5-star kid, I'm like, well, if I want a national championship, then I need to go to these schools. By adding 12, I think you add more entrant points to the national championship path, so that might balance a little bit.
Well, you just have more interest in college football throughout the country, too, because, look, unless you are a gambler, you couldn't care less about this college football bowl season. There wasn't one game throughout this whole bowl season, one playoff. I didn't even really care about the Rose Bowl, to be honest with you.
Who played in the Rose Bowl?
That's the point. Penn State and Utah. This is the first time that I really just didn't care about the Rose Bowl. I don't know if it's because it wasn't January 1 and it wasn't the way I wanted it to be. And
because the NFL was on the day before.
I understand.
They took New Year's Day away from the Rose Bowl.
But what I'm saying is, unless you are a gambler, a serious gambler, there wasn't one bowl game that you were interested in this year. Players don't play anymore. The bowl games don't matter anymore. So if you have more teams playing for a championship, that's the only thing that matters. If your team is playing for a championship, then your guys aren't going to sit out a bowl game.
Unless you're Ohio State.
Unless you're Ohio. Well, I mean, look, those kids didn't play all season, though. I mean, Jackson Smith.
But they were healthy, though.
Yeah, but Jackson Smith and Jigba to not play the whole season is one thing. If Jackson Smith and Jigba decided to play all year and then say, you know what, I'm not going to play in this bowl game, I think that would have been a little bit different. Fair. He made a business decision. Fair. I don't see any players doing that. I mean, what Ohio State did last year with where Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson didn't play in the Rose Bowl. These bowl games are meaningless. So the only way these guys are going to have games they want to play in is if they are playing for a championship. So I am for the 12 teams. I don't care if I see a 65-7 game out there. Although last night's game was atrocious. Now, as a Michigan guy, I don't believe the game would have been that bad. But I do believe Georgia would have won the football game.
Michigan would have lost by 17.
Michigan would have lost the football game, but I think, and I always said this, I thought Michigan would have been more prepared to play the national championship game than that semifinal game.
Oh, you're 100% right.
And it was because of the...
you saw it in Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, you saw it in Georgia. Ohio State woke Georgia up. They were like, oh, man, that break. Okay, here we are. Let's get it back. Because that Georgia team we saw last night, that was the real Georgia. The Georgia team we saw before that was a team that was... That was jet lag, as you would say.
No doubt.
We'll get back into college football in just a little bit. Coming up next, we are going to be talking to the voice of the Lions, Fox 2 Sports Director Dan Miller. What a season it was, and what a lot to look forward to, or plenty to look forward to, I should say, when it comes to this football team. All things Lions coming up next with Dan. But first, a message from Custom Health Centers. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back on the program.
How's it going, buddy?
After jumping off the program for the holidays, where I gained a little bit of weight back.
Okay.
I'm on the program, and when I tell you they take the willpower out of weight loss, my goodness, do they ever. What is Custom Health Centers? It is a customized approach to your weight loss. Whether you want to lose 20 pounds or 120 pounds, Custom Health Centers has a solution for you. Call this number right here, 844-789-THIN. That number again, 844-789-THIN. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
Matrix Home Solutions is your go-to for any home project. Looking for a new man cave? Well, they have you covered. They are your basement remodel experts. Plus, they also specialize in bathrooms and kitchens as well. With an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, why not give them a try? Call them today at 888-594-8844, or you can always check them out online at matrixhomesolutions.com.
Woodward Sports Network, Fox2Detroit.com, WoodwardSports.com, the Fox 2 News app. We got it all for you, however you are watching or listening to Woodward Sports. We certainly appreciate it. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazawey. We got the voice of the Lions, Dan Miller, Fox 2 Sports Director as well. Dan, how you doing, my friend?
What's up, boys? How you doing?
Doing real good.
Hey, Dan.
Doing real good. Hey, appreciate your coming on today, bud. I know you're busy. You got Brad Holmes coming up in just a little bit. I wanted to ask you, though, we were talking about this yesterday. Other than the team that wins the Super Bowl, they win the last one, is there a team in the NFL that finished their season better than the Detroit Lions?
I mean, 8-2 is 8-2. That's a pretty good finish. I think the ones that are next week probably feel a little bit better than the Lions right now. But
they will ultimately lose. All of those teams except one will ultimately lose.
Yeah, but would you rather lose in 2 weeks or would you rather lose 2 days ago? I think I'd rather lose in 2 weeks and know I was in the tournament. I get what you're saying, though. Look, there's a lot to be excited about with the way this team finished. Ultimately, when all is said and done, they put themselves in too big a hole, starting 1-6. I mean, the other side of that is look at Minnesota. All the wins that they racked up early. They looked shaky late, but all those wins counted, and they had this thing pretty much salted away week 10 or 11. But look, there's a lot to feel good about with this team, and I don't know how it compares to playoff teams, but 8-2 is 8-2, and being 1-6 to go 8-2 after that. I get where you're coming from, Ryan. It puts this franchise, I think, on an upward trajectory, and it also really sets the expectations for next year in a place where they haven't been here in a long time, which is you start with contending for that NFC North and then see where it takes you from there. But we're not talking about a rebuild anymore. We're talking about a team that, sure, they've got some improvements they have to make, but to me, the rebuild is over. Now you're about finding those final couple pieces that you need to win.
Before we look ahead, I do want to look back, if I could, because I feel robbed a little bit as a Lions fan. I want to put this up for you. This is the NBC Sports Power Rankings, the way they ended up after 18 weeks. The Lions are 7th on this list. In the NFL. Not in the NFC, in the NFL. I feel robbed that we won't get a chance to see this football team play next week, because I do think they could have done some damage.
Yeah, there's not a trip that I would think about making with this football team right now where I would feel like, man, they're in trouble. I think the way that they have played, I think they opened some eyes against Buffalo when they stood there with them and went toe-to-toe with them and could have won that game and really had a chance to win that game late. I think Jared would tell you that he'd like to have that pass back late in that game. But, and that's not taking anything away from him because he was amazing over the last 2.5 months of the season. But, Ryan, on those rankings and anything else, this would have been a dangerous team in the playoffs. And I think they would have had no problem going to San Francisco and measuring up against the 49ers. I'm not saying they'd win. I don't know what would happen. I think they would be excited about that trip and certainly feel like that was a game that they could go and win. And I don't really see a team in the NFC that they would shy away from. AFC, look, I think that's where the power lies right now. most of it at least. But I think if they had gotten in, it's a team probably nobody would have wanted to see with the way they finished the season.
What's going on, Dan? I only have one question for you. Obviously talks about Ben Johnson requested by different teams.
Yeah.
Are the Lions offense in trouble if Ben Johnson leaves this year?
I don't think so. I mean, look, Braylon, you live the life, so I would probably ask you the same thing. But I think, look, this offense got better last year when Dan Campbell was calling the plays. I think Dan Campbell now understands what he needs for this offense, and he will find somebody, whether it's somebody on staff now or going outside the staff, to come in and call plays. And that's not taking anything away from Ben Johnson. And it would need to be somebody that measures up to that. Ben's been terrific, and he has helped this offense reach new heights. But I think any offensive coordinator would look at this offense. Look, there's going to be some changes. There's some things we don't know right now about, DJ Chark or Jamal Williams and anything they might add to this team. Those guys are free agents. But I think any offensive coordinator walking in would look and say, you know what? I got a stacked offensive line. I got a quarterback that's playing with a ton of confidence coming out of this season. I got Jamison Williams, who's going to have a full off season. I got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's one of the best receivers in the league. I think they'll add probably a tight end at some point. I got DeAndre Swift, got to keep him healthy, but I know what he can do. I think this offense is going to be stacked pretty good for whoever is calling the plays next year, if it's Ben Johnson or somebody else.
Nice.
Hey, Dan, I wanted to ask you did bring up the free agents, and Jamal Williams is a guy that he's won me over. And I know a lot Lion fans love this guy. And the way he was talking at the end of the season, don't diss us. We're the Detroit Lions. How do you let a guy like that go? I think that's invaluable. He's 28 in April. He's still got some tread on the tires. Are you bringing him back?
I am, but there's a price to everything. And at the end of the day, everybody's a number in this league. And it's not anything against Jamal or anything else. But when all is said and done, you got a set amount of money that you can spend. You got different things that you have to do, and you have to decide how you're going to allocate that. And look, if somebody throws a crazy contract at him, which, look, basically the running back market hasn't been great. It's kind of, teams have kind of, I think, gotten to the point where they feel like they can run different guys through there and they don't have to pay guys a ton to play that position. It seems to kind of have gone that way. But look, all things being equal, absolutely I want him back. I want him back because of what he does on the field, because he's the hammer, he's the 4th and 1 guy, he's the goal line guy, and then what he does in that locker room. He has been a leader for this team really since he walked in, and he's a guy who's won in this league. He played meaningful games in Green Bay, and that was, I think, important to add to this mix when he came to Detroit. So, look, they got some tough decisions they have to make on guys. Alex Anzalone, DJ Chark, Jamal Williams, guys like that. 5th-year options coming up on Jeff Okudah at some point. So, there's different things that you have to look at, and the balancing act for Brad Holmes gets more difficult as you get better because you have more good players you want to keep and figure out how to fit them all in. And I do think they'll be more active in free agency this year as well. I think they've kind of bided their time, waited until they could really identify what they needed, and I think 2 years certainly fits that bill. Now I think they can look at that roster and understand where they might need to, go and throw some money at somebody and come back feeling better about it, draft choices, all those things. Everything plays into it, but it's a long way of saying, Maz, I agree with you. I'm bringing him back if I can, but I caution everybody, when all is said and done in this league, you're a number, and that number has to fit.
Brad Holmes coming up, talking to the media at 3 o'clock. You guys are lucky enough to be there, and obviously someone's going to ask about the draft. You're Dan Miller. You're picking 6th and 18th. What positions are you counting on here? What do you want for this team, Dan?
Man, it's tough. As I sit here today, and I think what they do in free agency will impact some of that. If I can find an interior defensive lineman to add to that mix, that's probably what I'm looking for. You seem to have 3 at the top of this draft or 2 at the top of this draft. I think obviously Jalen Carter's going to be gone. I think the kid out of Clemson's a possibility. I haven't studied him. I'm just looking at mock drafts here, and he seems to be a guy that's going. And then I think for that second first-round pick, look, they need to add some depth to that cornerback room, and they need to add another guy who might be a starter in that cornerback room, because if there's anything we found out as Lions fans over the years, you lose those guys. They go down. You got to have deep numbers there, and that's not to say that they don't have other needs, but you can add another piece to that defensive front, and I think they need to add a couple corners anyway. If it's one of those, first round guys that's sitting there and it matches, your board, I think to me those would be the places I'd look. But look, we're sitting here in February right now. There's a whole lot of things that will happen between now and then.
Hey, Dan, you just mentioned Brad Holmes. I mean, I look at this draft, the 2022 draft, probably the best Lions draft collectively since 1988. If you look at some of the names in the 88 draft, you got 4 starters out of there. You got 5 picks in the top 80 and a ton of money. This football team, I remember Tom Izzo always used to say he didn't want to build a team at Michigan State. He wanted to build a program. This thing looks like it's the foundation is there for an elongated period of success.
Well, and I think that's what has fans excited is the driving force behind this turnaround. The 8-2 finish has been the young players. It's been guys, some first year, some second year, that are really, you can look at that depth chart and say for the first time in a long time. I think I go back to the 90s when I think this team was probably a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl team. I think they were stacked. They had Barry, they had Herman, they had a defense which was full of playmakers. They just didn't have a quarterback. I think this is probably the most talented roster they've had, top to bottom, since those teams in the 90s. And Ryan, to your point, I think that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build this thing. I always throw Baltimore and Pittsburgh out there because to me they're the teams that year after year after year you find out that their cupboard is full because they may lose somebody, but there's somebody waiting to take their place. They know what they're looking for. They identify that player. They know how to coach and prepare that player. And it just becomes, year after year after year that they're able to add to that mix. And I respect the heck out of that. I think that's what Brad Holmes is doing. And I just think it is the first time in a long time that we've seen a group, not just a player, a group of young players being coached, taught, and improving and understanding what playing in the National Football League is. And you have to have that. If you're not making your players better, you are never going to survive in this league because guys don't come in understanding how to play. They may come in as college hotshots, but this is a whole different deal. And you have to have a coaching staff that can bring them along. And the results that we've seen from this staff say that they know how to do that. 16 seasons in a row with Pittsburgh, no losing seasons. You're absolutely correct about that. Quick question, last thing from me. Ryan and Monty, I want to expound on that. The foundation that's in place right now, Dan, with the draft capital, with the money they have in the free agency, can the Lions put something together where they are a legitimate Super Bowl threat next year? I think so. I mean, look, I'll go 8-2. And Braylon, as we sit here right now, they may end up being the favorite in the NFC North next year coming into the season.
Heck yeah.
And if you have yourself in the mix for the division title, you got a home playoff game, maybe more, who knows that. But that's the beginning of getting into the playoffs, and then we see what happens after that. But, I mean, again, as we sit here right now, do you think that they're that far off? Now, look, other teams might get better too. But as we sit here today, do you think that they take a back seat to anybody else in the NFC where you say, no way they can beat them? I don't think so. And with the capital you just talked about and the players that you can add, there's no doubt in my mind that, look, you got to get some luck with injuries and things like that. But there's no doubt in my mind as we sit here right now, that should be your goal. Winning the division and then being a viable candidate to get out of the NFC. They killed themselves with the 1-6 start. They defined themselves with the 8-2 finish. Now you have to carry that forward, continue the work that you've done, improve this roster, hit the ground running next year. And there's no reason to think that would be an outlandish statement. Doesn't mean everything breaks your way, but going in, I think that's a statement you could make and not feel like you're being outrageous or being like Ryan, who just says things for shock value.
Hey, last one, Dan. The tourney starts on Saturday. I don't know. I don't think anyone could beat the Niners in the NFC. AFC is a tough deal. Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City. Who's your Super Bowl? I just Buffalo has got that thing going. I'm going to go Buffalo and the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kansas City and Buffalo. That would obviously be interesting to me to see those two go again after that classic that we had last year. And then, look, in the NFC, I agree with you on San Francisco, but, man, isn't there a point where that rookie quarterback thing scares you a little bit. A rookie quarterback plays like a rookie quarterback, makes a rookie mistake at a critical time. I think he's got a great coach and a great staff that have put him in a position to succeed. But I do have some concerns there about him. Look, I think we have some concerns about Hurts. Is he healthy? Is he good? Is he 100%?
He's not.
I think it's wide open in the NFC. Yeah, I think it's wide open in the NFC. I think, we've seen warts from, Minnesota. 4 or 5 weeks ago when Dallas was on that run, you thought they were the team. But now, I don't know. I think it could be anybody coming out of there. I would probably, as you say, look at Buffalo and Kansas City in that AFC. And the winner of that would, to me, be the team. And I think it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be fantastic. It's something, man, like I said.
It's great.
I wish they had a shot to be in it because I think they could have been an interesting participant for sure.
No doubt.
Without question. All right, Dan, you got to go. Go get to that Brad Holmes presser. So good stuff. Thanks for this, and we'll talk to you down the road here.
All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
you got it.
Dan.
Dan Miller, everybody. Listen to him. Of course, Lions Radio and Fox 2 Sports Director. Great stuff there. And
It's so easy to talk to.
It is. He's just he's the best. There's nobody better.
Who do you guys like in the Super Bowl right now, today?
Right now,
Bengals 49ers.
I'd have to say Kansas City. Somebody beat Kansas City for me.
Bengals and Buffalo.
There is somebody that can beat Kansas City.
Bengals
It's the
and Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, and probably they can.
They beat them this year. They beat them in the AFC Championship last year.
The only reason I'm even leaning to Buffalo over Cincy is because of DeMar. That's the only reason.
I agree with you 100%. You and I talked about that last Friday. Like, because of this is something to rally around, and you don't want to use it that way, but it is what it is.
It's extra.
They had 2 kick returns for touchdowns. Then you saw that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they only scored 30 points.
I know.
Like, they struggled outside of those kick returns. Something with Buffalo still does not sit right with me. Like, if you take away those kick returns, thank you. You take away those kick returns, I don't even know if they win that game. So that's the big thing with them. I don't.
The Bengals are rolling.
The best team
They're
top to
red
bottom.
hot.
Best team top to bottom in NFL.
Guys, I got to get to a break. We're going to talk some college football next. We'll get back into the Lions after the top of the hour because Brad Holmes is talking to the media. If he says anything worthy, which I'm sure he will, we'll talk about it in hour number 2 of the program. Braylon, did you make that meat yet, or is that tonight's dinner?
Oh, man, I'm saving that for the weekend.
All right, there you go.
I'm saving that for Super Wild Card weekend, baby.
Let me tell you about Fairway Packing Company. Looking to elevate your dinner? Choose Fairway Packing Company, family owned and operated since 1956.
I've never had a tomahawk steak.
Oh, dude.
That thing you handed him yesterday looked like it came from the Flintstones.
Bro, it is insane. And it's right by your house, man.
I know.
It's right by your house. 8 Mile and Mac.
Hey, Bam Bam.
In Grosse Pointe Woods. You try the Burrata blended burgers. How about the award-winning Chop House steaks? Or you can impress your friends with, this is my favorite, the dry-aged Wagyu tomahawk steak.
That's another thing I've never had.
Oh, my God, Maz, what are you doing?
I've never had it.
We got to switch out.
See why the top chefs in the country choose Fairway. If you go to a great restaurant for a steak dinner in the Detroit area, or really around the country, but especially in the Detroit area, chances are they're getting that meat from Fairway Packing. You can get it yourself in Grosse Pointe Woods. You could shop online. They ship anywhere. Fairwaypacking.com. Fairwaypacking.com. Fairway Packing Company, sourced, cut, aged, packed to perfection.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
What's a winter wonderland if you can't shop, eat, and play? Lucky for you, you can do it all at the Downtown Detroit Markets, Cadillac Lodge, and the new winter version of the Monroe Street Midway, all located just across the street from Campus Martius Park. Find the fun at deckedoutdetroit.com.
Get a shot up. This is for the win.
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Be sure to check out Swiss Insurance this week for your commercial insurance review. Many businesses choose the one-to-one effective date. Swiss can help you make your coverage the best it can be. Swiss Insurance, give them a shout. Check my man Mark at Swiss Insurance out.
Before we get back into college football, I've never bought season tickets for a team in my life. Just as part of the job too, because I've been to so many games through the job. I'm going to buy Lions season tickets next year. I'm going to buy them.
Hey, did you ever go to that Bears game?
No, I never. I sold them. Sold them.
Did you make money?
$166.
You're going to buy Lions tickets.
You know, on 4 tickets.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple bucks.
Okay.
It's fine.
This is a big thing. The reason why I asked you that question is, like, because of your strenuous work schedule, Monday through Friday, and even on Sundays sometimes, that's a very personal day for you. That's you, that's Nicole, that's Lukey, that's the kids, Lydia. Like, you're going to go to these games?
No. But I want the option to go to the games.
Gotcha.
And more than anything, I'm going to buy the season tickets because I want to go to the home playoff game. And as a season ticket buyer, I think you get first crack at
the
home playoff game. And I think they're going to have a home playoff game next year that I want to be at. So why not buy season tickets? Because the price that you'll pay for that home playoff game to get into the stadium is probably the amount that you would spend on a season tickets. Yeah. So you might as well buy the package and go to the games.
I like it.
And if you
can't supporting the Lions,
if you can't get to a game, you put them up.
My last year as a season ticket holder,
try to get your money back at least.
I like it.
Was 0-16. That was my last year.
Get out of here.
That was my last year.
I see why it was last year.
I got to the 35-yard line
game too.
My seats were on the 35. I had good seats
to watch,
and I let them go. I let them go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible
stuff. You didn't miss anything.
I know.
I wanted to make mention of that. Hey, college football, real quick. Did you see what? Well, not real quick. We got time to talk about it.
Take your time.
Did you see the David Pollack?
Yeah. Nick Saban
yesterday. So if you didn't see it,
I think he just made the national champions.
Alabama, by the way, is the favorite to win next year. We can talk about that as well. But so. After the game, David Pollack is doing College Game Day. They've got Nick Saban right next to David Pollack on the desk. And David Pollack says that Georgia is now the top dog in college football. And you could see Nick Saban just kind of drop his head. And the restraint that he showed not to jump across the table or let off an F-bomb or who are you talking about? The pair of grapes on Pollack. To say that right next to Saban, I thought was incredible. But I don't think he's right. I still think it's Alabama.
So this has been the topic of discussion all day, and I'm glad you and I are getting into it. I'm glad you lean on that side because I lean with David Pollack, my fellow classmate in 2005, 3-time All-American Georgia. He was a damn good player. Too bad about once again, something at that Cincinnati field. He broke his neck and never played again.
But side note on Pollack, though, he
hates McAfee.
When you see McAfee and Pollack next to each other,
you can feel it,
which they rarely do. You can feel it because I think Pollack was always the guy in waiting
to replace Lee Corso.
And he's had to sit out all these different sort of segments. He never starts the show. It's just Corso, and now all of a sudden they hire McAfee. They give him a boatload of money. They back up a Brinks truck to get McAfee out of his WWE deal so he can do Game Day, and then they elevate him to that spot.
Do you like him?
I like McAfee. Here's the deal, and this is what a lot of people I think don't get about our business. It's not about what you know. It's about how entertaining you can be. David Pollack, I think, is one of the most knowledgeable football people on sports television today.
As hell.
Exactly. But it's the way he delivers. He's boring. David Pollack is boring, but he's knowledgeable.
Yeah, I would put David Pollack up there with Brady Quinn in terms of the knowledge.
Oh, Brady's better.
This whole thing. Side note,
doing it longer.
Hate to break it to you, this whole thing ain't about what we know. It's about, can you be at least a little bit entertaining and be a little bit right once in a while.
Yeah.
Be a little bit right once in a while and be entertaining.
100%.
That's all this is. And that's Pat McAfee. That's why you back up a Brinks truck to McAfee. That's why Stephen A. has all the money.
Yeah.
That's why Skip Bayless has all the money. That's why Mike Greenberg has all the money. Colin Cowherd has all the money. You know what I mean?
100%.
Just look at the people that get paid in the business. They're entertaining. They draw an emotion.
And what happens is when you get in that space, when you get in that spot and you get around the right people, if you've noticed, Pat McAfee got better as the year went on. He went from the short sleeves and the T-shirts to the suits, and he's smooth and he knows what he's talking about. Now, he's still Pat McAfee, but he's smoother. He's getting better because he's around guys that really know what the hell they're doing, so he had to step it up. Getting back to what you said, it's Georgia.
Yeah.
It's Georgia. Who won national championship last year? Georgia. Who did they beat to do that? Georgia. Who won national championship this year? Georgia. Who's 29-1 in the last 18 months? Georgia. Who has number 2 class? Obviously, Alabama has number 1. Who has number 2 class? Georgia. And you can say Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC championship to a team that wasn't as good as them, and you're right. You know why? Because Kirby Smart was still scared of Nick Saban. Like, he still couldn't beat Nick Saban yet. He was a long line of coaches that couldn't beat Nick Saban that played for him or that coached with him. Well, guess what? When he beat him in the national championship, that day was over. How many games did Alabama lose this year? 2. When's the last time you lost 2 games and didn't make the playoffs? Hasn't happened since the playoffs has been in existence. It has not happened. Georgia is now the team. And he learned from Nick Saban. He built this thing just like you talked about with Tom Izzo. He built it from the ground up. It's a program. It is built to withstand. Last year, Trayvon Walker, number 1 pick in the draft. Georgia. Jordan Davis, number 12 pick. Interior defensive lineman. Guess who could be the number 1 pick in the draft this year? Jalen Carter. Guess who's going to be the number 1 defensive interior lineman next year? Brunson, number 97 for Georgia. He built it up. He goes D-line, linebackers, running backs. They built this team in such a way they don't even need a great quarterback. Remember when Nick Saban was first winning national championships? No, Greg McElroy's not that good. A.J. McCarron's not that good. Sims wasn't good. They were winning because they had the defense in place. The O-line was stout. That's how Kirby Smart's now doing it. But the extra caveat is Kirby Smart has fun. Like, I'm not saying Nick Saban's players don't love him because they adore him behind closed doors. Like, they revere him as they should. But Kirby players, they love him, and you can see it. He's licking the Gatorade off his arm, and he's getting hype and running around. So now you have everything Alabama has and Nick Saban. But oh, by the way, I don't have to be afraid to make a mistake. I don't have to be afraid that this guy is not going to speak to me. It's a different energy in Georgia. Georgia is now the top dog in NCAA football.
Literally.
I'll tell you why I disagree with that. I'll do it next. But first, a message from SMA.
The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their podcast, This is the S Word, and the S Word stands for stigma because they're trying to destigmatize mental health. Listen, Sean Jordan and the NFL Alumni Association, they do an amazing job of providing you the content. It's okay to not be okay, but when that is, where do you go to get the information? Where do you go to see the conversation? You go to thesportsma.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
By now you know me, Christina Schnari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports loves their lobster, and what better place to get it than Cousins-MaineLobster.com. Get on that website right now. Check out where those trucks are going to be. You never know where they're going to pop up in your neighborhood. Give them a call. Download that app and get that schedule and get them to your neighborhood as soon as possible. If you love lobster, and who doesn't? Smother it with all that butter. Of course, lobster mac and cheese, lobster grilled cheese I had, the lobster bisque, and so much more. Get to Cousins-MaineLobster.com right now and download that app. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
You know, we're talking about really the story of the day in the sports world, and it surrounds around college football. Of course, Georgia pounded TCU 65-7 in the national championship game last
Mattress
night.
Mac lost some money.
Yeah, no doubt. Lost a lot of money, but he won like $40 million during the baseball World Series. So David Pollack says on ESPN last night, right next to Nick Saban, that Georgia is now the top dog in college football. And Nick Saban's reaction was, you could just kind of see him drop his head and, whatever. But I disagree. I still think Alabama is the top dog in college football. They've been playing this college football playoff since 2014. There have been 9 college football playoff national championship games. Alabama has played in 6 of the 9. They have won 3 of those games. Should have, might have, and I know we'll never know, but last year they were leading at halftime when Jamison Williams got hurt.
True.
And they probably win that game if Jamison Williams doesn't get hurt. And I know you could say ifs and buts or candy and nuts or whatever you want to say, but I think they win last year's game if it wasn't for that injury. Georgia was a field goal away at the stroke of midnight from not even being involved in the championship game. This year, Alabama lost 2 games on the final play of the season.
And they almost
final
lost
play
4
of the game on the road.
There's a lot of ifs in here.
I understand. What I'm trying to tell you is Alabama ain't going nowhere.
I didn't say they are left, but they're just not number 1 anymore. What have you done for me lately? Well, Georgia lately has 2 back-to-back national championships, while Alabama has 2 losses this year. And you said they almost were undefeated. They almost have 4 losses this year.
Because of the elongated period of success that Alabama has had over the last decade and a half, really, decade. Let's just call it decade.
Right.
I got to see it for 1 more year. I want to see what happens to Alabama next year because, again, Alabama has the number 1 recruiting class in the country.
Georgia has the second.
Okay. Alabama is the odds-on favorite to win the national championship again next year. So
that's because they give it to them every year. Georgia won last year and they gave it to Alabama.
Let me just play this thing out next year. Let me just play it out.
You want to put the odds up?
Humor me, please.
Yeah.
If Alabama wins the national championship next year, who's on top of the college football world?
Alabama.
So is it just whoever the national championship is?
Alabama has won back-to-back titles last year and this year. They're
Georgia, you're saying?
I mean Georgia. They're one of 5 teams to do that in the modern era, and they won back-to-back. Yeah, Nick Saban did it too. Years ago, what have you done for me lately? They're back-to-back national championships. They lost 17 picks last year in the NFL draft. 6 of them who went in the first round. They still won the national championship. They're still loaded, much like Alabama. The only pushback I would have is I don't know who either one of their quarterbacks is because the quarterback for Alabama, not a big fan of his. Like he didn't look like he had he had too much arm strength. I don't know if I like him. I don't know who Georgia's quarterback is. That'd be the only thing that I would be nervous about. who's the quarterback if I was Georgia. But it doesn't matter because the way their system is built. Did you see what happened? And that was TCU, but TCU was a top 4 team based on the rankings or whatever. You saw what happened once the second and third stringers got in halfway through the third. They balled as well. They're also 5-star guys. So I think you got to give it to Georgia for the simple fact they're back-to-back national titles, and along the way, they did beat Alabama. Don't sleep on LSU, too, and Brian Kelly.
Anytime you compare a team, a player, a coach, anytime you have to knock somebody down to prop the other one up. What Georgia has done has been remarkable. I just think that I'm not ready to say that Alabama isn't the team that everybody guns for in college football anymore. I still think it's Alabama. You fight Alabama in recruiting. You're fighting to beat Alabama every week. And yeah, Georgia's back-to-back national champions. Good for them. Okay. They should have lost last year, and they should have lost in the semis this year. I know they didn't, and it may sound ridiculous to some,
especially once you make the point that, oh man, they shouldn't wait this long to play the game, and this is what happened.
Right.
Based on your point, that's what happened. Right. They fell asleep at the wheel, and they got lucky. It happens. I will say this. I think it's a good conversation. I think they could be 1A and 1A at the end of the day. But I got to go to the back-to-back national championship. The only thing about Alabama, which I say I'm leaning towards Georgia, and I'm watching Kirby like kind of inch away a little bit. Alabama, what did I say all last year? Alabama just didn't look like Alabama. Like they weren't the same team. They were up front on both sides, outside of Will Anderson, and in the secondary. They were getting torched last year. Coming into this season, what was my bold prediction when we started the year? I said they wouldn't make the playoffs. I said they wouldn't make the, and once again I saw it. I don't see dominant up front offensive linemen. Defense line got a little bit better. Secondary still a little iffy. Nick Saban just doesn't seem to be doing as good of a coaching job as he was doing in the years prior. What Alabama has done from 2009 to now, especially in the playoff era, it will never be done again. It is the best thing I have ever seen in college football. Maybe USC kind of, sort of, but it's the number one thing I've ever seen. I will agree with you there. But it's a new day in the game, and I got to go with Georgia based off what I've seen in the last 2 years of Alabama.
And like you mentioned him, and I'll mention him because I like this guy, Brian Kelly.
Yep.
Don't look past LSU.
He ain't going nowhere.
They're on their way up.
Yep.
He has a quarterback. They're flying up the charts.
Jayden Daniels.
And you know who else is flying up the charts?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Josh Heupel's got something going on over there. You know who else has got something going on? USC. That guy's got something going on out there.
Got to get some defense.
I'll tell you this much. You look around the landscape of college football, and there is something going on in Ann Arbor right now.
There is. Let's put up the top 25, the final right here.
Where is Michigan's place in all of this? This is the final AP poll. You finished with a number 3 ranking. Georgia 1, TCU 2, Michigan 3.
Ryan, I commented on this. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I commented on this on social. How does TCU? I mean, I guess they made the national championship game, and I guess they beat Michigan. But I'm like, how are they number 2 and they lost by 80?
Yeah,
right.
You can't lose by 80 and finish 2. I don't care that you made the game.
I don't care that you beat Michigan.
You also have 2 losses.
Right.
There were 8 voters.
I'd have put them at 5.
There were 8 voters
that
voted Ohio State ahead of Michigan.
Well, because of the way they played Georgia.
Yeah.
That's why. I know.
But there you go. Michigan buried them.
Right. We're talking about Georgia and Alabama. Where does that leave Michigan? I mean, we talk all the time about
top 5.
Building programs and building teams. I mean, last year, we kind of had the conversation that maybe, just maybe, the ceiling for Michigan is beating Ohio State and winning a Big Ten championship. And I don't know if Blake Corum doesn't get injured. Again, a lot of ifs. If the season doesn't turn out the way that it did, maybe they beat TCU. Maybe they don't beat Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think the way Michigan was forced to call the game against Ohio State was such that if you had Blake Corum, maybe you just rely on running it up the gut 50 times a game and doing the Jim Harbaugh.
And that might have worked.
It did work. It did work against inferior opponents.
It might have worked again.
And it might have worked again. But
I don't think having your best player is hurting you.
Well,
No.
I said it from day one.
I agree. I'm just saying I don't know if it's good enough to beat that team, Georgia.
Well, it would have been good enough to beat TCU.
Sure,
because they wouldn't have
absolutely.
handed it off to you at the goal line.
Yeah, you wouldn't have handed it off to a guy that had 7 carries all year.
But at the same time, would it have allowed Michigan and Jim Harbaugh to open up the playbook to J.J. McCarthy in that game?
I would think so.
Like based on what? Like we're playing devil's advocate. Like neither one of us knows. So you always need your best player, 100%, man.
Right.
To answer your question, I don't know where that leaves Michigan, and I was more confident about Michigan's place in college football during this season and coming into the season than I am now. Like Ryan Day was a foot and a half in the grave. That Georgia game,
he got revived.
He and his team got revived. Because just like Michigan was watching last night, watching TCU, like how the hell did we lose to this team? Don't you think for 1 second Ohio State wasn't looking at Michigan like how the hell did we lose to this team? I'm a little bit nervous. Yes, they have an offensive line. They got the transfer portal. JJ is going to be a much better quarterback this year. He's going to challenge for the Heisman. You got Blake. You got Donovan. All the guys on offense, the defense and secondary, they're all young guys. So they're going to be loaded. I don't know if they're good enough to beat Georgia. I don't know if they're good. I don't know who Alabama's quarterback is going to be. I don't know if they're good enough to beat Alabama. You talked about Tennessee and then Ohio State. That is going to be a showdown, and the thing that I'm glad that game is in Ann Arbor this year.
Well, you played Michigan. We saw the odds right there. Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan. Michigan is the third best odds to win the national championship next year. And I'm on board with it. This team has an extra year of J.J. McCarthy, an extra year of Blake Corum, an extra year of Donovan Edwards. I'm telling you, why not Michigan? But again, when you look at
this was their year to prove their folly from last year. Last year, we were just happy they got there. Some of us were dumb enough to think they could beat Georgia. I included. I got caught up in being an alum. Georgia beat the hell out of us. This was the year to get back, to pay Georgia back. This was, and yes, the refs screwed us. I understand that. But they shouldn't have came down to them. This was the year you get to Georgia and play Georgia's national championship, or at least make it to the national championship, and then I feel more confident. They lost again in the semifinals to a team that shouldn't even have been there. TCU lost to Kansas State and should have lost to Kansas State in the beginning of the season, but they got down their third-string quarterback. I'm nervous about Michigan as it relates to national championships, if I'm being honest.
I understand, but again, I'm almost less nervous next year than I was this year because Alabama's going to have a new quarterback. Georgia's going to have a new quarterback.
Stetson Bennett's a walk-on.
Tennessee,
so doesn't matter.
We walk on or not, you cannot diminish what he's done.
Listen, I'm not diminishing him at all. I'm just saying the fact that they plugged in a walk-on I'm not talking about this year. This year he was phenomenal. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist. They plugged him in last year over JT Daniels. He won a national championship. This year he was much better. He had some starting under his belt, which he's 25 years old.
6 touchdowns last night.
100% counted for him. So I'm saying he was a walk-on at one point and won a national championship. He was not that same guy this year. You can plug in anybody in that system. It's kind of like the 49ers.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Last night I texted you.
Yeah.
Do you think Stetson Bennett can play on Sunday?
No.
Now, look, you told me, he could play in a church league.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I'm looking at is I see a good quarterback that knows what the hell he's doing. I know he's short. He really has no business being in there. But I remember when Michigan won the national championship in '97, and Brian Griese was there. And I know his dad was Bob Griese, one of the best. And I remember a reporter asking him, so what's your plans now going forward? In other words, he didn't think he was going to get drafted and play in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Brian Griese said, well, I expect to get drafted and play in the NFL. And I looked at the reporter later, and I'm like, why'd you ask that? I mean, how could you ask that? I asked the same thing of this kid. This kid knows how to play quarterback.
Man,
I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady.
Man, Brian Griese was 6'3" and came from a pedigree of his father's in the Hall of Fame.
I know that. I was a Dolphin fan.
He came from that. So yes, he's going to get drafted and play. He actually did pretty decent with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, he did.
Stetson Bennett is 5'9", and they try to say 5'10". I saw him stand next to he was standing next to somebody yesterday that I know.
All right, so he's Kyler Murray.
No,
and he can't run.
Kyler Murray is electric. Kyler Murray is
I'd still take him. In the 7th round, 6th round?
I would.
He's 5'9". He's 100, and it's like Rudy. Remember the movie?
He's a winner.
Of course.
He's a winner.
He knows how to play.
You're 5 nothing. 100 and nothing.
Right.
I
still
understand
take
he's
him.
a winner. There's been winning quarterbacks in college. Sometimes there's nothing wrong for you to. He's going to go down in college football history.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. He had one of the greatest careers as a quarterback in college football history. 1,000%. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's enough.
Okay.
Sometimes that's
I'm just
enough.
getting your
I
opinion.
mean, I don't see why he couldn't be like a Chase Daniel backup for
Me
like
too.
10 years.
He's
and then-
5'9", 190,
I
Ryan.
understand, but he's something about being a winner too. You're the guy that always
Yeah,
says
but
about
5'9",
quarterbacks and
190.
winners.
Name me a 5'9", 190 guy. Well, outside
Doug Flutie.
Me.
I was just about to say outside of Doug Flutie.
Me.
And with Doug Flutie,
I never came out of the game.
shut the
If I
hell
had an opportunity, I would have never
how many
come
great
out.
cups
I'm a
Doug
winner.
Flutie
Got to
won.
get to a break. More coming up next. Hour number 2, but first a message from the Folding Warehouse.
Oh, let me get my pin. Here it is. The Folding Warehouse in Hamtramck, Michigan. You know who'd be great at folding? Stetson Bennett. For sure.
knew that was
He'd be
coming.
awesome at it. 2 ways to play this game. $12
very accurate.
unlimited open play or a private lane reservation for 2 hours for 10 or 12 of your friends. You get that for $120, but it's less than $10 a head, guys. I just did the math for you. Any drink you want. They have multiple full bars and over 100 beers to offer. Plus, Braylon's favorite, the $2
There
mystery
you go.
beer
Coke 45,
machine.
baby.
That's right. You never know what's going to pop out of that. Maybe a Lowenbrow. Bring your own food in or have it delivered. Get your full on at foldingwarehouse.com.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh, wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
As chilly weather approaches, Big Boy's got the perfect comfort meals for you. Try our hearty classic meatloaf or our creamy Cajun chicken Alfredo. These will be sure to leave you craving for more. How about breakfast? Our stuffed potato pancakes are back with our lumberjack, blockbuster, and Santa Fe Garden. These potato pancakes will definitely fill you up. Whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, come stock up on the perfect comfort meal today. We'll see you soon at Big Boy.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
What's going on, everybody? JB here, letting you know about Planet Fitness and how there are official studio sponsors here at Woodward Sports, but it's also home to the Judgment-Free Zone, where you can work out in a non-intimidating, judgment-free atmosphere for just $10 a month.
Only $10?
Yes, only $10. Or you can always upgrade to the Black Card for unlimited guest privileges, the hydro massage, and so much more in club. Join in club today, or you can always check them out at planetfitness.com. But don't go anywhere.
No, we're not going.
I got to tell you about the Monroe Street Midway. The holidays might be over, but the Midway is still going on strong right now. They've got the giant Arctic slide, the winter bumper cars, the indoor arcade, and of course, they got some food down there for you. Let me tell you, they got the burgers, they got the pierogies, the homemade chili, the mac and cheese bites, not to mention gluten-free and vegan options, so there's something down there for everyone. And coming soon, we got the Woodward Sports Winter Olympics. You'll be able to compete against Darren McCarty, Braylon Edwards, Adam Baydoun, Ryan Ermanni, and of course, the Maz himself.
The Maz.
Yes, sir. Yes, along with the rest of the Woodward Sports family as well at the Monroe Street Midway Games. So check them out at deckedoutdetroit.com for more information on the Monroe Street Midway.
Midway.
They should have snow bowling. They can do that.
I like that one.
Very good. Hour number 2 of the program. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazawey. We got Fletch. We got JB. Everybody doing good today?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Very good.
Yeah, not as good as Stetson Bennett before.
Not as good as.
I'm feeling okay.
He's going to do all right, that kid.
He is. I mean, he's a pitcher. He's a baseball player first. He's a great
You
baseball
think
player.
Kyler Murray is going to leave and go play baseball for the A's?
Well, Kyler got drafted in the first round.
Yeah, by the A's.
Yeah, he got drafted over. They had that list. I think we showed it one time. The players that he got drafted over. It's like
I would love to see
a long
him play
list of
baseball.
MLB consistent all-stars and even some World Series champions.
Hey, guys, I wanted to ask you, and welcome in if you're watching on WoodwardSports.com, Fox2Detroit.com, the Fox 2 app, Tubi, however you're watching or listening to Woodward Sports, we absolutely appreciate you and everybody in the WoodwardSports.com chat. Thanks for tuning in as well. We have not talked about this Jim Harbaugh situation at all. Apparently
I wish he bought me a burger.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, so he's being investigated, possible recruiting violations against Jim Harbaugh in Michigan over a burger. And that is a legitimate, bought a recruit a burger at the Brown Jug or something like that. I don't even care about that. The NCAA is so dumb. It's stuff like this that has put the NCAA in the spot that they're in with NIL, where players are leaving, getting millions of dollars before they even play for the school, like Quinn Ewers at Ohio State. Now he's going to leave Texas, whatever. I don't care about that. What I do want to ask you about, what I do care about is...
Hold on, is Quinn Ewers leaving Texas?
No.
Oh, okay.
But he's not going to play next year. I mean, it's Arch Manning. It's Arch Manning time.
Wow.
He was...
So, I mean...
Quinn Ewers actually is decent, too.
Arch Manning isn't going to Texas to sit.
You don't think he'll sit a year?
No.
Not with that last name.
No, not him. Jim Harbaugh apparently interviewed via Skype or Zoom, virtual interview with the Denver Broncos.
Not VMix?
No, not VMix. Interviewed virtually with the Denver Broncos. I don't think that's a serious interview. This is not COVID. You know what I mean? This is you hop on a plane and you go to Denver, or they hop on a plane and come to Ann Arbor. If you're serious about hiring Jim Harbaugh, you do one of those two things. I don't consider that a serious interview when you do it virtually.
Well, maybe they just wanted to see...
Initial conversation, sure.
Initial conversation.
And that's fine. I would not be shocked if Jim Harbaugh went to the NFL. I would be shocked if he went to Denver. Because, again, you got no quarterback, no money, and no cap space.
Beautiful place
no
to
draft
live.
picks. No
Beautiful
draft picks.
place to
That's
live,
what I
though.
want to say. But he, reiterated that he expects to be Michigan's coach next year. Enthusiastically expects to be Michigan's coach next year. I think that's great stuff, but I think he is coming back. I think this is all an opportunity to get more money out of Michigan.
Don't you think they were just going to give him money?
I don't know.
How did it not? You're making the playoffs 2 straight years?
Because it's Michigan. I tell you guys all the time about the elitist, arrogant attitude
just
Michigan had. I'm agreeing with you. And I'm talking about Maz. That's who we are. That's who they are.
That's terrible.
So, but the Denver thing is interesting, though, because I feel like he actually could be the right guy for that job, though. Like, they can't pass the ball right now. Russell Wilson's really struggling. What does Jim Harbaugh do excellently well?
He runs
the ball. And they got a great running back that's coming back off injury. They got a decent offensive line. I think that could help balance Russell Wilson out. I'm not saying he's going there, but of all the spots, if there was a space for him, even though Denver's got a lot bad going on, I think Russell's going to have a much better year. I think you could change it, make it a run-first offense, kind of uses his mobility a little bit.
I think he bounces
play
back
action.
big time.
I think so, too. I think Jim will be a good fit there. I think they will be a good fit. And you also got to think about it like this, Ryan, because I think he's leaving next year. I think he stays this year with JJ. Blake Corum come back. I don't think Blake Corum comes back if he knows Jim's leaving. Oh, man, they have money out there in Denver. That group has
That's
a lot.
Walmart money.
Exactly.
And they have his khakis.
100%. They sell them in spades out there. What if they throw him? Because you see what Matt Rule got at Carolina. Yeah. So Jim Harbaugh coming off back-to-back playoff appearances is going to garner more than Matt Rule at Carolina.
$12 million?
No, they gave him $12 million. So that means Harbaugh is going to 14. Yeah, 15. The $15 million is a lot of money. I wouldn't take it personally because in Ann Arbor he could do no wrong. He's God in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, but you can't have, and I guess I don't I got to look at what Harbaugh's got now, but you can't have Mel Tucker make more money than you.
He makes $7 a year, and then this year he made $3 million in incentives. So technically, he cleared 10. Well, he didn't clear, but he made 10. But it was $3 million in incentives.
If you're the University of Michigan, you should be embarrassed by that. You should be embarrassed that Mel Tucker makes more money, base salary, than you do.
But you shouldn't be mad if you're Michigan that Michigan State's dumbasses paid Mel Tucker. That ain't Michigan's fault.
But you are paid what somebody's willing to pay you. You're worth what somebody's willing to pay you.
He made more. You heard Braylon.
I know, but he had to make incentives. He had to beat Ohio State, win a Big Ten championship, and go to the college football playoff to do so.
But here's the thing: Michigan State's idiots, and some of that's coming from UWM Ishbia. So I think it might be fool's gold, but there are only 5 coaches that make more than that. And all of them have national championships. Jim doesn't have one.
But what coach would you rather have? What is there a program in college football you'd rather be right now than the University of Michigan, outside of Georgia and Alabama?
But once again,
even Alabama,
the only 5 coaches outside of East Lansing's dumb situation, they have national championships. So if we're sitting across from each other in a room, and I'm you're Harbaugh, and I'm the Regents. I'm like, why I'm gonna pay you what they make, and they've won national champions
because
Dabo Swinney has 2. Nick Saban has $1 million. Kirby Smart now has 1. Like, these guys have national championships, and most of them have double national championships. Why I'm gonna pay you what I pay them? I mean, what they get paid, and you can't even get out of the first round of the the first round of the playoffs,
because you might not be able to get out of the first round of the Big Ten East. Or third place in the Big Ten East without him.
Well, guess what? You feel so brave and bold. Take your ass to Denver. If I'm the Regents, and if I'm the Regents,
I would not play like that.
I'm saying we're at the table right now, and Jim wants to play hardball. I will play hardball because Michigan. I don't agree with all the arrogant stuff we do, but this is one I would side on the Regents with. I'm not paying you what you haven't garnered, what you haven't earned yet.
Lane Kiffin, Jimbo Fisher, Mario Cristobal, David Shaw, Ryan Day, Mel Tucker, Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Dabo Swinney, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban all made more money than Jim Harbaugh last year.
I heard 7 national titles and then some dumb stuff. So I was off by a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, so you got Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney. Then I want my money.
Jimbo Fisher won national championship.
Jimbo Fisher,
Florida State, 2013.
Oh,
it was so long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a BCS national championship. I'm just saying, or a BS national championship. I'm just saying. I
need to get paid more than David Shaw.
Yeah,
listen,
he just retired.
If Michigan don't want to pay him and he don't go to the NFL, there'd be 100 schools lined up to pay him.
Yeah, 1,000%. But Jim, I don't know. He wouldn't take another college job, I don't think.
I mean, it's embarrassing that Jim Harbaugh is the 12th highest paid coach in college football.
He took the salary cut.
He did.
That's on him.
And now he re-earned his money.
Yeah, that's true.
Every year,
I'll give you that.
Every year, you re-earn your money.
How about the guys that are transferred from Michigan? Schoonmaker going to the NFL. DJ's going to the NFL. And who's
DJ Turner? That's a curious one to me. Yeah, curious one to me. I think he could have benefited from another year,
and
but
now
I support
Bowman,
him.
the quarterback's going to Oklahoma State. Alan Bowman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to play over Orgy. He's got, what is it, JJ and Orgy.
Yeah. So very good. Either way, we'll get back to the NFL next. The National Football League world loves the Detroit Lions, and they love Aaron Rodgers. Show you about the ratings that happened on Sunday Night Football. We'll go around the NFL. We'll do it next, but first, a message from Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac GMC Buick GMC. Look at this. We got them all now. Les Stanford has expanded into Ferndale, a trusted name for over 50 years. Les Stanford Buick GMC.
They need me over there?
Same great service that customers have come to know. Check them out on Woodward, just south of 9 Mile. If you're looking for a Chevy or a Cadillac, you get the Les Stanford, located in Dearborn, over 50 years over there on Michigan Avenue. You can find the brand you want. LesStanford.com. LesStanford.com.
Find new roads.
Find them.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
At Alta.
Uptime. It matters.
Uptime matters. You know it. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. If you have a big project coming up, Alta Rental has got you covered. Give them a call today at 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
Alta. Hey, friends. Let's go around the NFL, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's start it off. Let's. Want me to do Lions first here?
Yeah, sure.
You talked about the ratings for Sunday Night Football. Well, you know what? It's the last day of the year. It's the Packers and the Lions. Watch Aaron Rodgers, but it's the Lions. Do you know it was the highest rated Sunday Night Football finale in over 6 years?
Wow.
How about that, huh?
That is incredible.
For our Lions.
And can you imagine that number had the Seahawks and Rams?
Yeah.
I looked at the local ratings here in Detroit for the Seahawks and Rams on Fox 2 in Detroit. It got a 25 share, which is for a non-Lions game, for a regular season football. I don't know how to quantify how big that is.
Yeah.
That is an incredible number for
what did the Lions get? What's their share usually?
Like a 40.
Got you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's close. That's not, that's a big number then.
That's a big number for a regular season football game that does not involve the Lions. That's incredible. It's an incredible number.
I can only imagine. Like I knew where you were going with that. I can only imagine that number, like you said, if the Seahawks would have lost.
Hey, let's show you the playoffs. They start this Saturday. It is Super Wild Card Weekend. First of all, that is the whole shebang right there. What you're looking at on the screen right now, that is all 14 teams. You see the wild card teams, who they shake out and who they play. But this Saturday, this is what the schedule looks like. Gonna start it off. Let me get my paper out here. Ryan, you all got your papers?
Yeah, here you go.
Super Wild Card Weekend.
Seattle at San Francisco, and then Jacksonville hosting the Chargers. On Sunday, 3 games, 1, 4, and 8. It is Miami, Buffalo, the Giants, and the Vikings, Baltimore, and the Bengals, and then a Monday night game this year. The Cowboys and Bucks.
They did that last year as well, if you remember. Start on Saturday.
There's only one game out that I'm excited to watch, if I'm being honest. Like the only game I'm excited. I mean, if Tua plays,
there's 2 games that I'm excited to watch.
If Tua plays, then yes, the Dolphins and Buffalo Bills could be interesting, especially how I talk about how the Buffalo Bills are playing. I want to watch the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Me too.
That's the one I want to watch. Seattle and San Fran. I know San Fran's going to beat Seattle. I mean, the Vikings, Daniel Jones versus Kirk Cousins, no thank you.
But that was a great game a couple weeks ago.
I want to watch that game.
I remember the 60-yard field goal won that game. 60-yard field goal.
That's the game I want to see. That's the game I want to see over the weekend of all of them, except for the Tampa Bay-Dallas game, because I am going to pick Tampa Bay in that game.
I don't want to watch Daniel Jones have more rushing yards than he does have passing yards. No thank you.
I think the Vikings stink. I think they're going to lose to the Giants.
They don't stink, though.
I think they're going to lose to the Giants.
That's right. You know what I hate? That NBC has 2 games. Mike Tirico is going to do the night game on Saturday night. Baltimore and Cincy. That's good. But Saturday afternoon, you got the Chargers and the Jags. Who the hell on NBC is going to call that game?
Zach Collinsworth.
What do you know, Jack Collinsworth? Who's going to call that game?
Zach Collinsworth.
Who's going to call that
It's going to be Jack Collinsworth, probably. He's the Notre Dame guy.
That would be horrible.
Yeah.
Why does NBC have 2 freaking games?
Yeah, it's going to be Jack. It'll probably be Jack Collinsworth and who's the former coach of the Jason Garrett.
Garrett.
They do the Notre Dame game.
Jesus, that would be bad.
Horrible.
Please, NBC. Why does NBC have 2 games?
You said Tampa's going to lose? Or you said Tampa's going to win?
I think I'm going to pick Tampa.
You know what's crazy is I think I said Tampa as well because I'm like, it's Tom Brady, it's Dak Prescott. I don't play. But the problem is, like, good teams don't lose, like, back-to-back. Like, they got embarrassed last week by the Commanders. I just can't see them losing back-to-back in fashion like they did to the Commanders. So we'll save our picks, obviously, for Friday. But I think I'm leaning towards Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Speaking of our picks, this was our finale for the way we wound up the regular season. I happened to go 5-2 last week. Ryan went 4-3, so did Braylon. It looks like I beat Ryan by 2 games. Braylon got into the 60s late. He was a late starter. Braylon was like Seabiscuit.
Hey,
he comes in he's in the stretch.
Lucky strike, baby.
Here he comes, down the stretch he comes. So we'll start it over. We're going to start it over again for the playoffs. We'll give you guys another chance.
Congratulations, Maz.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you, guys.
You know what's funny is, like, I think I only sniffed first place at the start of the season when we were all even at 0. But you guys had a fun duel back and forth. Like, watching you guys, Ryan took over a couple of times. Maz would take it back. Ryan would have a huge week. Maz would come back with a huge week. So watching you guys duel was fun. I'm just glad I got to over 500.
Yeah, it was pretty fun, man. It was good doing those games this year.
Hey, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. The Colts have asked to interview Ben Johnson. So
that's 3 teams now.
Yeah, now that's 3 teams.
So now can we have that conversation?
Yeah, we could.
So before the show started, Ryan and I were talking off air, and I said that Ben Johnson, obviously, he's getting these requests. I said the goal as a coordinator is to become a coordinator so that you can become an NFL coach. You see all the guys under Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, from Zach Taylor to Brandon Staley, and the list goes on. The job is to get a coaching. The gig is to get a coaching job. Now in the NFL, these young hotshots, that's what the NFL wants. That's what these franchises want. They want the next Kyle Shanahan. They want the next Sean McVay. They want the next Zach Taylor. Well, Ben Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Well, Kevin O'Connell, excuse me. Ben Johnson, here he is. Ben Johnson gets the right offer. He's gone this year, and I think it's going to be the Chargers' offer because I guarantee Brandon Staley's getting fired.
And they're going to interview Aaron Glenn as well. I neglected to say that.
Let me ask you guys this. There's 5 head coach openings right now.
Let's pop them up.
And there are going to be 2 more.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you because I don't think if you have not fired your head coach already, I don't think you're going to do it if your season's over.
But Sean McVay's not getting fired. He's going to leave. Like, so if he leaves, he's leaving.
Okay, that would be another opening, obviously. Yeah. But last year there were 9 openings, 9 of them. This year there's 5. Which playoff teams do you think? How many playoff teams? Which playoff teams do you think will end up having fired their coaches? Because I got 2 right now off the bat.
I got 2 as well.
Dallas going to fire Mike McCarthy after they lose to Tampa.
You're right.
And I think the Chargers are going to fire Brandon Staley after they lose to Jacksonville.
It's so funny. We have the same 2 just in reverse. I have the Chargers because they're going to lose, and then I got Todd Bowles.
Oh, Todd Bowles going to get fired too.
That's another one.
I got Todd Bowles.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Todd Bowles is gone.
Right. Whoever loses that game, whichever team loses that game,
gone.
Yeah,
that's true.
They both could be because I don't think if
Todd Bowles is going already. To be honest,
yeah, Dallas is. I mean, unless they make it to the Super Bowl, he's going to get fired.
Yeah,
they got to make it.
It's not his fault either.
Hey, today Roquan Smith. I don't have a thing for this, but Roquan Smith got paid by Baltimore. 5 years, $100 million extra, $45 million bonus. So Roquan Smith got paid by Baltimore. You know, they paid him, but they won't pay Lamar.
Too soon. Deservingly so, because with Lamar being hurt this year and the way they play, Roquan Smith helped anchor and save that defense. Without Roquan Smith, that team's not in the playoffs. That team's not a playoff. I was a huge fan of his. That's why I wanted him here. Obviously, we couldn't work the deal out, but you got to have a stud Mike linebacker. You look at the teams that are powerhouses. You look at the teams that go, they got a stud Mike linebacker as well as quarterback.
I want to get this in because you had just mentioned it, and thanks to JB, he's been sending us little nuggets throughout the last couple of minutes here. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN says that Rams coach Sean McVay has permitted his coaching staff to search for other jobs without resistance. McVay said in a staff meeting that he doesn't know whether or not he will return next year, but will not block those who want to explore other opportunities.
That's it. He's done.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well, I had it today, but you had already said it. You talked about it. It's like,
why would you coach?
Exactly. Especially
Seriously.
he's going to make the money he's going to make in the booth.
I think it's cowardly a little. If you ask me.
Dude, no. It's.
I get it. You're going to make more money.
Let me ask you this
question.
question.
It's cowardly. You won your Super Bowl. You dropped your pants. You threw everything out, and now I'm leaving.
Let's talk about this.
My GM got rid of all my freaking picks. We
Let's
have
talk
no
about
money.
this. Let's talk about this because I want to talk about this moving forward, and as it relates to building a Super Bowl winner. I want to talk about this. But first, a message from Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. You can walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Wicked awesome.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
Downtown Detroit is all decked out this holiday season with the return of the Cadillac Lodge and the Monroe Street Midway.
Monroe Street.
The Midway's got the giant slide, the winter bumper cars, and of course, that indoor arcade. Plus, you can also grab a drink at the Lodge before or after any Wings or Pistons home game. So shop, eat, and play downtown all winter long with Decked Out Detroit. You can always check them out at deckedoutdetroit.com.
Guys, I wanted to continue on. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I want to continue on with this Sean McVay talk because, Matt, as you say, he's copping out.
Oh, he is. He is. I mean, yeah.
So
you got your Super Bowl. You were involved with Les Snead. Hey, yeah, let's get rid of this. Hey, let's do that. Yeah, sell it. Yeah, get me that guy. Yeah, get me Jalen. Get me that guy. Yeah, let's sign Aaron Donald to $1 trillion. Let's give Matthew Stafford all that money. Who cares? We're going to win. And now you leave 1 year because now you got no chance and you're going to be in last place in the NFC West for the next 8 years?
Is there? Here's how I wanted to attack this because I'm looking at it from a fan perspective,
right.
And obviously the Rams fans, you have your Super Bowl and that's great and everything like that.
Which would you prefer? Is that what's coming?
It's kind of like that. Which would you prefer? But would you feel? Not that I don't want to say that the Rams Super Bowl championship is meaningless or is bought and paid for
don't do that.
or anything like that. But let's just say that the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Because that this is we think they're doing it the right way. We think this is a group, a foundation, brick by brick, young guys getting better, draft picks coming along, everything's looking good. Wouldn't you want to win the Lions way as opposed to just getting rid of everybody and selling out for 1 year like the Florida Marlins did, like the LA Rams did, hell, like the Tampa Bay Bucks did a little bit to get Tom Brady?
Here's what I would say. There's no such thing as a right or wrong way because last time I checked, the Lombardi that's in the Rams looks just like the Lombardi that's at Lambeau Field, looks just like the Lombardi that's in 49ers. Steinbrenner did that for years, but they won. They hoisted those trophies every year. Yep. It's so freaking hard to win at the professional level. It's so difficult. Go down the list of Lombardi trophies had by franchises and go down the list of teams that don't have one. Detroit Lions are definitely one that doesn't have one. Once you have one, see, I don't know. We don't know. You don't know. I don't know how I would feel about that. I think it's smarter to build the way the Lions are building, so that you can be like Dan Miller talked about, like the Pittsburgh Steelers,
yes,
like the Baltimore Ravens, where every year you know you have a chance at it. Every year you know you got a crack at it to be in the mix, to be in the dance, to play. So I definitely agree with you that I think that's the smarter way to do it, if you will. But how you get a championship doesn't matter if you get the championship.
And I don't want to say, just quickly, Maz, I don't want to say buying a championship, because you could say that the Red Wings bought all those championships when they were bringing in Luke Robitaille and Chris Chelios and all that. So, but they had 25 years of success.
Yes.
So it wasn't just 1 year of success and then you don't make the playoffs. You didn't win the Stanley Cup in '97 and then you didn't make the playoffs again for another 10 years.
Let me ask you this, though. You, Maz and Ryan, you got to go back to kind of like the beginning of when Sean McVay took over for Jeff Fisher. Like, he kind of drafted. He kind of built it up, and it didn't work. And then he said, the hell with this. We're going to do it a different way. They built it up. They got to the Super Bowl.
After picks.
They got to the Super Bowl.
Jared Goff was the last first-round pick of the L.A. Rams.
Exactly. And then they drafted Aaron Donald. Like, so they built it up. They got to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Patriots. Sean McVay and Snead said, maybe we can go about this a different way. So I feel like they tried one way, it didn't work, and they tried again. So, hey, kudos to them because they did try one way, and then they got it another one. I think it's smarter to build it the way the Detroit Lions build, because it's in the image of the 49ers, what they're doing. It's in the image of the Steelers and the Ravens. But how you get a championship is how you get a championship, because every team wants to have at least one, and there's a lot of teams that don't have that.
Hey, I'm with what Braylon said. Any way you win a championship is fine with me. Here in Detroit, we haven't won one since 1957. Won one playoff game. What we would have sold our soul to the devil to win a freaking playoff game, let alone a Super Bowl. Okay, and now this is the closest we've come now. We won 9 games, and look, we're ready to throw a freaking parade in the streets here, right here on Woodward, all the way down to Detroit. If you could win a Super Bowl by hook or crook, you do it. All I'm saying is Sean McVay was the smartest guy in the room, and now he's not. That's all. And he's quitting to go online, to be John
Madden,
John Madden and John Gruden on TV. And he's going to be great on TV.
And then he'll come back.
He's not going to be Sean Payton. He's going to be great. And then he will coach again and be smart again.
Just about the Super Bowl. I'm going to let you do the Sean McVay just about the Super Bowl. You can say anything you want to Rams players, to Rams fans right now. You're like, man, y'all suck. And you know what they're going to tell you?
Yeah.
We won Super Bowl last year. Technically, they're still the Super Bowl champs.
Yep.
So I think that's what. Like, if you win the Super Bowl, maybe 30 years
and
later,
they lost one, so they're 1-1 and
they've been there too.
Yes.
You can't tell me nothing if I'm a Rams fan.
I know
or
that.
If you can't tell me.
They
Jack
don't have
squat.
fans. First of all,
no, you're right. They absolutely
do
don't.
that.
But
okay?
yeah, that's
fly by night.
That's 49er country.
LA is fly by night.
Here's my problem with what you're saying about Sean McVay, Maz. He's the third highest paid coach in football. It's $14 million a year. He's going to make $20 to $25 million a year to not work those hours, be that stressed,
be away from family,
be away from the family. Yeah. That's an awful lot. That sounds like an upgrade to me. It sounds like a smart business decision. Yeah. We just had Dan Miller on, and one of the things that he said about the players was that, it'd be great to have Jamal Williams back and all these guys, bring everybody back. But at the end of the day, in pro sports, you are just a number. Yeah. You are worth how much money you're paid, essentially. And if Sean McVay can get a much higher number and work 1 or 2 days a week at his leisure, you know what I mean?
I'm not.
It's just I don't think that's quitting on your team. I think that's a smart business life decision.
But he did quit.
Well, I mean, nobody knows what it's like. We just saw a guy have a cardiac arrest on the field too.
Yeah,
whether we don't know what that was from, but this is a very stressful job.
Yes, it is. Especially when you don't have any talent.
Yeah, and a lot of people, especially when you're losing games. Look what we might not like him. We might think he's a prick, but look at Urban Meyer. One of the things that Urban Meyer could not do at the pro level was turn the page on a loss. The guy hates losing so much.
Yeah.
Maybe Sean McVay is like that a lot too. Maybe he just can't lose.
which Maz will retort. That's why he's quitting.
Yeah, right.
I love. But I think
you're only as smart as your talent.
I think you're both right. To be honest, I think you're both right. I think it's smart for him to leave and get paid his worth. Like if somebody wants to pay him $25 million to sit behind the desk, to sit in a booth, I'm doing that. At the same time, he quit. It's no big deal. Younger guys are going that route now, though. John Gruden kind of started. John Madden was the first, but Gruden kind of started that thing where these coaches are younger and younger and younger, and they're looking like. You look at coaches back in the day. Coaches were old when they got hired.
Yeah, they were.
And then they coached till they got fired. And then maybe they took the booth job now.
Well, Don Shula was the youngest coach hired. He was in his 30s.
And then he coached till he was 80.
Yeah.
So now coaches are younger. So you're like, hey, you know what? I want to do other stuff. So maybe I'll just take a break, do some other stuff, and then I'll go back to coaching in 10 years because he'll only be 50 in 10 years.
First of all, I got to say, JB, man, you are the man. JB is bringing the heat today. We've got news regarding Aaron Rodgers. We'll have that for you next. But first, and Brad Holmes is talking. But first, a message from Chili Peppers Tanning.
Yes, sir. 27 locations throughout Metro Detroit. More on the way. So make sure you get out there and get your tan and get looking good. Yesterday, the sun was out. Today, we're back to normal here in Michigan. And if you go to Chili Peppers Tanning, they will beat any competitor if you join the Pepper Club. They'll beat any competitor by $5 on unlimited tanning. Plus, you get the cleanest salons in the D, and they give you all kinds of great lotions and oils when you're there. They take great care of you. The Chili Pepper girls are terrific. Get down there today. The hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, the darkest tans. Your Vitamin D headquarters, chilipepperstanning.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
I'm Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Centron is the official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings, and now they partner up with WoodwardSports.com to produce their limited edition six-pack. Go to CentronWorld.com/Red Wings so you can get this amazing six-pack of the cranberry, the sugar-free, and the classic. They are here to re-energize the community. That's why they partnered up with the Pistons as well as WoodwardSports.com. So drink it, live it. Centron.
Guys, welcome back. WoodwardSports.com. I mentioned news regarding Aaron Rodgers. He was scheduled to do his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show today. He did not. Pat McAfee did come on and say, quote, there will be no Aaron Rodgers today. That's because Aaron Rodgers is meeting with the Packers today and tomorrow. These are said to be lengthy meetings. We don't know what's going to come from them, but what we do know is that next week, Aaron Rodgers Tuesday Live and in action. So I think we're going to have a lot of answers for what the future looks like after the next couple of days in Green Bay, in Lambeau, after 12, the quarterback meets with the team. I think we're going to learn really soon whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to retire or not. I don't think this is going to be a situation where you don't know in February in June, July.
Yeah. He said I won't hold him hostage.
Yeah.
You heard him.
Yeah. So I think we're going to learn something soon. So I'm interested to see how this plays out.
I changed my tune. Like we talked about it today's only Tuesday. We talked about it yesterday, and I said I think he's gonna retire. You agree with me? I changed my tune. I thought about who Aaron Rodgers is, having been drafted with him. I told you about my first encounter with Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith and what he said and how he introduced himself. I know this man.
Mm-hmm.
I know this man. There was no possible way that he is going to play his last game at Lambeau Field losing to the Detroit Lions. And oh, by the way, $60 million is on the table. He's going to come back. I know he's going to come back. Like, that's the type of competitor he is. One, you're not leaving $60 million on the table. Like, I get it. Oh, he's made $60 million is $60 million. It's not leaving that on the table. Two, he's a competitor. You cannot tell me that he's going to retire on a loss to the only team in the league that he does not respect. I just can't go for it. I can't go for it.
Well, why did he look the way he did?
Because they're not bringing Randall Cobb's ass back. Now, he's gone for real. He's gone.
Why didn't he give Jameson Williams his jersey? He said, I want to keep this one.
He's Aaron Rodgers. He does a lot of quirky stuff. I don't know.
I think he's retiring. I do. I think he's a different guy. I think there are very few people that could say no to $60 million.
He's one of them.
He's one of them. I just think he's a weird dude.
I think he retires, quote unquote, to another team and gets the Packers some compensation and puts them back in a better situation than he left them.
Here's the thing.
If there's a way to do it,
there is.
I believe he'll play on another team.
Tennessee?
I don't know.
Here's one. Everybody talked about Tom Brady going to one team originally. That was the number one team. And it wasn't the 49ers, although I think that's the team he's going to go to. The team everybody had Tom Brady going to is a team I think Aaron Rodgers can
go
Niners?
To.
Raiders?
No, the Raiders. Rejoin Devontae Adams. Go out there to the Raiders. They got the money. They can make something happen. They got a lot out there. They got a lot in place.
I would love to see him play again.
Could be.
For something, a place where he could win.
Could be.
I believe he's still got it. I do.
No, he definitely
had
does.
a bad year. But he had some help.
Let's talk more about this tomorrow. I do want to get this Brad Holmes stuff in because it is coming in. Meeting with the media today. This from Tim Twentyman as it relates to Jared Goff. Brad Holmes says, "quote I think it's a lot easier to get worse at quarterback than better at quarterback in this league." He also says that what we saw from Jameson Williams at the end of the year is nowhere close to what we'll see from Williams moving forward. And another quote from Tim Twentyman, Brad Holmes says, "Pretty obvious that we have to utilize resources to improve our defense." Pride of Detroit has also been live tweeting this. Brad Holmes calls 9-8, 5-1 in the division a step in the right direction, but there's still work to do. We're just getting started. Brad Holmes met with each of the guys who are on expiring contracts and said that a majority have expressed a desire to come back. And this is a big one, I think. Brad Holmes on Jared Goff. I never really deemed him as a bridge. And we talked about that. They've never wavered from that comment. Not last year, not this year, probably not next year. I think Jared Goff has earned the right to be the quarterback of this football team. Not only that, I think Jared Goff has earned the right to be the quarterback of this football team when they compete for a championship, which, if you believe Louis Riddick, is next year.
Yep.
Louis Riddick on ESPN yesterday said that the Detroit Lions are going to be a Super Bowl contender in 2023. Last I checked my watch, that's this year. We're in that calendar year right now.
Yeah.
So I think he's the quarterback moving forward. If you want to draft somebody like and Anthony Richardson, I know that's a name out there that a lot of people like. If you want to draft him early, have him sit a year. But if you are a Super Bowl championship team, if you believe you're a Super Bowl championship team, look what the Packers did with their first-round pick. They wanted to draft some quarterback in waiting, Jordan Love, instead of getting help right now, which could have helped them win a Super Bowl.
Correct.
So that's really the fine.
That's where it started with Aaron and Green Bay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Instead of getting some help with a guy in the first round that could help you get to that Super Bowl or help you win a division.
Yeah, they blew it.
Help you host a home playoff game. Do you really want to blow a pick on a first-round quarterback? I don't think they do. I think they go D tackle, defensive back, 6'18", and that's how you play this one out. But one of the guys we just saw right now, Roquan Smith, one of the hot free agent names at linebacker, 5 years, $100 million, just re-upped with the Ravens, so he's off the board.
You look at the Jared Goff. You talk about the Jared Goff situation at quarterback. Look, it's tough to get a quarterback. It's tough to find a guy. It's tough to draft a guy. It's tough to trust a guy. You're trying, look at Trey Lance. You don't know what the hell Trey Lance is going to be. Look at Jordan Love. Look at countless names. Look at Mitchell Trubisky. Look at the list goes on. Mac Jones. There are only a couple quarterbacks that you draft that high, and I'm talking about one in every 5 or 6 drafts, where that quarterback can make it happen regardless of what you have. Most of these guys you're drafting to plug them in. If your system is good, then they might be good. If your system is bad, they're going to be bad. You already have a guy that fits the system. What happens if Ben Johnson leaves? Who knows this system? What Jared Goff does, because he helped Ben Johnson build it. Jared Goff should be your guy. Because everything you build is going to be around him. I don't trust these quarterbacks unless somehow next year you got Caleb Williams or you were able to get that pick, which means you went backwards. Outside of that, you got a guy that understands you. You guys work together. Reward him like you guys rewarding yourselves. He's your guy. He's your guy. You got a good run game. You got a great offensive line. You have weapons at the wide receiver. The weapons at the wide receiver position, especially if you keep Chark, are so good. It allows you to play Zylstra and Brock Wright and Mitchell and not need a Travis Kelce. On defense, build the defense. Go defense. Go defense. Go defense in the draft and the free agency. Jared Goff has got to win the Super Bowl with the Detroit Lions.
He's earned it.
Yeah.
I said it yesterday. I apologize to him.
Yeah,
he's going to get paid a couple more dollars than he was going to get. Daniel Jones is going to make $30 million. So if Daniel Jones is going to get $30 million, you got to give Jared Goff that. So
it's just a cost of doing business in the NFL.
That's just the way it is.
And you hear people
I still wanted to draft a quarterback and develop somebody.
I agree with that. People are frustrated with Jared Goff. Guess what? Every quarterback in the NFL that starts is frustrating at times. It's with the exception of maybe Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen was frustrating this year. Lamar Jackson was frustrating before he was healthy. You go down the list of Joe Burrow is maybe the only other one that's not frustrating. Tom Brady is frustrating. Aaron Rodgers is frustrating. Everybody has moments of frustration. But at the same time, do they have more better moments than frustrating moments? I say Jared Goff had way more great moments than frustrating moments.
What do you do if you're the Lions and you do want to be in a position where your coordinators start getting taken, because you know what that means? You're a good football team.
Yeah.
Teams don't hire coaches from bad teams.
Right.
They only hire coaches from good teams.
You know the rule. Once you're a Lions coach, you're done. Your career's over. That was the old way, the old days.
Yeah,
that ain't the days anymore.
No, it's not. This is a new day. But the day you want Aaron Glenn to get hired to be a head coach. You want Ben Johnson.
Not this year.
Not this year. You want it all to start next year, right? Wouldn't you? Don't you want another year of these guys? I think it's only natural to want to just try to run it back with this coaching staff because you like them so much. But I do believe finally that if these guys do leave, if one or both leave, there is a plan in place to, again, elevate somebody from within, whether it be Mark Brunell, whether it be Deuce Staley, whoever it may be, or bring somebody from the outside.
Yeah, 100%. The plan had to be in place all year, especially on the offensive side of the ball, Ryan. You look at the season; they started off scoring 42 on the Eagles, and then they backed it up with a big game against the Commanders. Then they backed it up with another big game against Seahawks. So ownership, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, they had to know, okay, Ben Johnson's hot. What is our contingency plan when he gets picked up? So I definitely know they have a contingency plan. And maybe it's Mark Brunell. And maybe it's a guy that's been here for 2 years. He played quarterback at this level. He's been here with Ben Johnson working this thing out with Jared Goff. Maybe it's as simple as Mark Brunell, but I definitely know they have a contingency plan because the Lions' offense was potent damn near every week of the season.
Well, you can have any coach you want from the Rams now. They've all been told to go find other gigs.
But a lot of those guys have already left. Kevin McConnell, he got hired.
Kevin McConnell,
wasn't there another one off that tree
Mike
that left the year before? Mike McDaniel. There was another one I feel like left the year. Look,
Brad Staley?
That's a great example.
Brandon Staley?
Brandon Staley. That's a great example of the San Francisco 49ers. How many guys has Kyle Shanahan lost?
McVay.
Right. I mean, he lost McVay, McDaniel. He
Zach
lost,
Taylor.
He's going to lose D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah,
Ryan.
but he already lost. Who's the Jets coach? The Dearborn guy.
Oh, Robert Saleh.
You know, I mean, you're losing guys every year. Look where they are. Top seed. Or number 2 seed.
Wow.
Probably the NFC favorite. I mean, that's kind of what you want to be like. Guys, interesting situation in the NFL over the weekend. I want to share it with you. A half sack cost Justin Houston $500,000. Should he get paid anyway? I want to ask you that question. We'll do it next. But first, a message from Guardian Alarm. They're your local security experts, have been for over 90 years. It is a new year, so let Guardian Alarm offer you a customized solution from real experts, 24/7 professional monitoring and technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. For more, call 1-800-STAY-OUT. Call that number, or 1-800-STAY-OUT. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you. Stay out.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in Downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Hey, wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods, and comfort foods from Big Boy, of course, my guy right here, this guy. Try the classic meatloaf or the Cajun chicken Alfredo and breakfast. That's the best. When you go out to Big Boy, that's the best. The stuffed potato pancakes are back, and the omelets, the lumberjack, the Santa Fe Garden, and the Blockbuster. Try them all. Not all together. One a day at Big Boy.
Joey here in the WoodwardSports.com chat says, where was Ben Johnson when the Lions had a 1-6 start? They were scoring 40 points a game.
They were leading the league. They were leading the league in all points scored.
All good. Hey, WoodwardSports.com. So I wanted to share this with you.
Where's the defense at?
Justin Houston of the Baltimore Ravens needed to get 1 sack in the final week of the regular season to get a $500,000 bonus.
He should have talked to Brett Favre.
So, yeah, right. Thanks, Michael Strahan. So he gets a sack. He got the sack. It was labeled a sack. Comes off to the sidelines and says, oh, hey, by the way, they changed it to a half sack.
Yeah.
So he ended up being a half sack short of a $500,000 bonus. Now, I don't know how these things work. Braylon, you would be able to tell me more. But if I'm the Baltimore Ravens and this is a guy that I cherish, I pay him that money. I pay him that money still, regardless of that. This is a guy who is on a 1-year, $3.5 million contract. So that $500,000 bonus is a huge chunk of change as a percentage of his salary.
He was a hell of a player with the Chiefs, with the Kansas City Chiefs, right before they, I guess you would say, won the Super Bowl. The way it works is the NFL, they ain't giving you jack squat.
Yeah.
Like these teams, they ain't giving you poop. So he can go back and show them on film, say, hey, you look. He can show them clear as day, I got a sack. I'm going to isolate the Lamar Jackson incident or situation because before that, Baltimore Ravens were a team that did everything right. Like they did right by their players. Like all their players come back. They're one of the franchises where all their former players come back for weekends, alumni deals. They love Baltimore.
They did a lot for Ray Lewis. That's for sure.
They've done a lot for a ton of individuals. Like they do it well, right? If you would have asked me then, like before this season started with Lamar, maybe 2 years ago, because they were still dealing with this before, I would have said that they would have given him he would have given him his money. I said, well, they would have gave him half. They would have met him in the middle and said, hey, look, I mean, they got it as a sack. We'll do this. We'll give you half. Is that cool? And you like, sure. I'd rather that than zip.
Right.
Cool. Like now, I don't know. Like this is a funky Baltimore Ravens squad that we're seeing with Lamar, and I mean he's paid Roquan, so I think that they might give him a portion. I don't think it'll be 500. I think they made somewhere between 150 and 250.
Right.
If I were him, I would drive to the official scorer's home. That would be the first thing I would do, and I would be like, "Hey, you're going to change that back to a full sack."
You know you effed me, right?
Yes. I'll tell you, man. That's dirty business. But like Braylon said, there's no dirtier business than the NFL.
That's the dirtiest business going, man.
The dirtiest. Look how they treat their ex-players. I mean, come on, man.
Well, I'm sitting
throw
up
them on the
anyway.
street.
Hey, go ahead, please.
Can I give him a tweet in?
Yeah. Yeah, please.
I need this tweet in.
Please, thank you.
If you're so
I told
good.
you.
So
I told you.
This should be an alarm. I told you.
Yeah,
I
you're
told
absolutely
you.
right. So this was yesterday after Holly Rowe interviewed Kirby Smart on the sideline before the game, and she asked him, "What do you need to see from your defense in this game?" It reminded me of Rocky 3.
Oh, man.
And I know you guys love that because we say it all the time.
Of course.
They said, "Clubber, what's your prediction on the fight?" Pain. That's exactly what Kirby Smart said. He said, "Aggression." And then was done talking, and then she asked him a follow-up, and he kind of hurry up and said, soon as I saw that, I put this tweet out. I said, they're going to win by 50. And I was wrong because they won by 58. If you have a chance, as you're listening to us, you're watching us, go to Twitter right now and find the Kirby Smart pregame speech.
Oh, is that good?
It's on Twitter right now. It will make you run through it. You will realize why TCU got beat by 58 points after you hear that speech.
Unbelievable.
Like it was everything you want to hear as a player. You asked me who's the number one team in the country. After that speech, that's the number one team in the country.
Top dog.
Hey, both our teams are playing tonight, by the way. You got the Wings hosting the Jets. Tyler Bertuzzi is back again. Hopefully he'll stay healthy and stay on the ice here for a long period of time.
I love this Red Wings team, by the way. They're a fun watch.
They're definitely on the upswing.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. They're not going to win.
They're not going to make the playoffs this year.
They might sneak in. I doubt it.
I don't know.
They're 11th right now in the East. And then the Pistons are playing at the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers routed them on Sunday here in Detroit, so don't expect much.
Can I just say that I can't watch Pistons basketball?
I get it.
I cannot
even watch. I can't watch basketball right now.
Yeah, I can't watch. Maybe it's just because it's so hardcore football.
I couldn't watch the Michigan State game the other day.
Nobody could watch.
I'm not into it.
Yo, I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the game. I watched the highlights.
There are no highlights.
You're very true. Michigan State won, but it felt like they both lost. It was like I saw nobody made any shots.
It was a piece
like 29 points in the like 5 minutes to go in the game.
I was looking for Naismith.
Remember in that weird period in the Big Ten, maybe like circa day after the Fab Five Part 2 with Maurice Taylor and all that, it was like 90.
Yeah, Travis Conlon, that's my guy.
So remember like 98, 99 till about 2000, I guess when I was there, like the scores in the Big Ten, it would be like 42 to like 50, it'd be like 51 to 49, like that's what it felt like. It took us back.
Hey, side note about the college football national championship game last night. So I was debating whether or not to watch the game. I just it had to be in the lowest. I was just like, I'm not going to make it a priority. I'm playing with the kids, whatever, doing my thing at night, whatever. It's fine.
I would have raked.
At 8:02, I'm like, okay, I'll watch the kickoff. I'll watch the kickoff, 8:02. I turned the friggin' thing on. It's 7-0. I'm like, what? I had no idea it started at 7:30.
You forgot that they said no idea. They said no more 8:30, 9 o'clock kickoff.
I know, good. I love it. Yeah. I just wish I wish I cared enough about that game. You know, when Michigan lost, I was done with it. I was done.
So it started at 4:30 out West Coast, and it rained inside SoFi Stadium.
Only on TCU side.
Isn't that something?
Funny.
Only on TCU side.
And by the way, Carlos Correa has a new home again.
Unbelievable.
The Mets couldn't sign him. The Giants couldn't sign him. So he's back to the Twins. 6 years, $200 million. Carlos Correa signed the contract.
Hold on, but here's the
quickly.
But here's the thing, though, man. You didn't read the last sentence. Pending the physical.
Right. Which is why he has not signed with the Giants.
It started at $375 million. Then it went to $320. Now it's down to $200.
with the ability to get up to 270.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
It's not going to get up there because you don't play.
Right.
Sometimes when you got to stop dancing around and take the first deal. Remember, the Twins tried to sign him last year for the big deal.
Hey, great day today. Get us out of here, Bray.
Yo, man, great show. Can't wait to talk more about the Detroit Lions. You know what? They almost made it, but we got a lot to talk about with Brad Holmes. These pressers coming out. Tune in. It's going to be a fun show. Time to start talking some basketball, baby.
Let's do it.
Nah, man. Red Wings. We got Red Wings.
No, I don't want to talk about them either.
How long before we start talking about the Tigers?
After the playoffs.
All right, cool. Some more NFL. My man JB Fletch, hell of a job, Fletch. And Maz over there, my brother from another mother, Ryan Ermanni. We are Ermanni and Edwards with the main man, Maz.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.